Hey, Shamina.
Hi. Oh,
Hey,
hey, there you are.
I am so sorry.
Yeah, me too. I couldn't get my Wi-Fi to work. It's like raining over here, but
Is it
yay,
raining?
we finally made it.
Yeah, how's it
Exciting.
going?
Good. I got my I call this a cheongsam. Some people call it kipao or chipao. But I got it on because I'm getting ready for Lunar New Year.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
How are you doing?
Um, I'm doing pretty good. Let's see. I was behind on a bunch of stuff today. And then a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, passed away from COVID.
Oh no.
Yeah. You know what? Let me,
Oh, I did your meditation. You had like a meditation online for somebody, right? It
thanks
was like
so
a
much.
flute
Yeah.
meditation, right?
Right, right. It was my friend Corky Lee, who's been a stalwart for Asian American,
Name is familiar. Is he an
community.
actor?
He's an activist photographer. So he basically came down with COVID, I think less than 2 weeks ago, went to the hospital, and then it just spiraled downhill.
So quickly.
So
Oh
quick,
my
yeah. So
goodness.
it's just shocking.
That's
But
incredible. Wow.
yeah, but I think yeah, anyway, I'm gathering my mind right now, and I only this right now at this particular time of the day, this is the quietest room, the garage. So I don't know, is this okay for you to go
Oh,
on?
it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, I just like
Okay.
my neighbor was doing laundry, and so they might come back and turn the dryer back on. So,
Trying to
but at
find the
least I don't
best
have the
lighting.
construction noise outside that I had going on for weeks. Um, but yeah, I'm so glad we could finally do this interview. And then now, like, of course, I want to talk about Warrior, but now all these people are asking about Boogie. Like, I'm in these, like, Asian Creative Network groups and stuff, and a lot of it is young people and like super young. I'm talking like high school kids and people just starting college. And they're like, oh, has anybody heard about this new movie, Boogie? And I was like, my friend Perry's in it. So yeah, I
Wow.
definitely wanted to ask about that. That's coming out in March, right?
Yes, March 5th is the release date. And I don't know how they're going to be releasing it, like whether it's going to stream somewhere. Um, since there aren't any theaters open, and I don't think anybody wants to go to the theater right now. So I don't know how they're releasing it, but yeah, it's March 5th is the date.
And so that's a basketball movie. Are you the coach in that one? What's going on
I,
there?
I would say basketball is part of the content of the movie, but it's really a coming of age story of a young Asian American torn between two cultures, the traditional Chinese culture and then the dynamic culture of the African American culture in New York City on the basketball courts. So
Right.
it's like those two places meet, and it's quite a rough and beautiful film. Eddie Huang is a great you know uh
So is
thinker.
he an unknown? Because a young woman posted in an Asian creative group that I'm in, and she was like, "Oh, I've tried to look up the cast of this movie, and I couldn't find anything about the lead actor." And she's like, "I thought that was really exciting." So is that true? He's the unknown?
The Eddie Huang is the director and writer, but
Oh, okay. I mean the lead. Yeah,
Takashi,
I didn't get
Taylor
who's
Ta-
the
Takashi is
name
the
of the lead?
Takahashi. Sorry,
Huh?
he's new. He's a newcomer. This is his first film, and he's a natural. And he's just, he's great on the court, and he's great in front of the camera. So it's a pleasure, absolute pleasure working with him. And he's got a story to tell. Anyway, he's the character. He fits the character in real life. You know, he's sort of like an Asian American. I think he's fourth generation Japanese American who grew up in Oakland, the Bay Area. So he's got that in him. He's kind of like me. Like I'm from Oakland
I
also,
was
right?
gonna
So
say, did you guys bond over that? Like you're like
we
Asian swag dudes from Oakland.
totally there's totally. I mean, and yeah, it was right away. The chemistry was right away, and when that happens, we're just blessed.
Yeah. So wait, do they have a Japantown in Oakland? I mean, they have a big Chinatown next to Jack London Square, but I'm trying to think. And then there's like a Koreatown kind of like by Telegraph. I'm trying to
Right.
think. There's not really a strong Japanese presence in the East Bay, is there?
I would say not anymore, but there are a lot of Japanese Americans, and there's a Buddhist church in right in Chinatown, in Oakland's Chinatown, where the Japanese community do come, and they have a big Obon festival every year, and it kind of takes over like 2 city blocks, and we all hang out there all the time. It's every year during their festivals, so they do have a big Japanese American community. They may not be located in any one neighborhood anymore.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't realize that. I guess there's only like two Japantowns left in the US now, and they're both like, especially with COVID, they're like really like on the verge of like losing everything. They're losing
It's kind
their
of sad,
Japantown.
It's
Yeah.
kind of sad. I know there's the one in LA is hanging on, and the one in San
And San Francisco.
Francisco.
And I didn't realize that because I'm from San Francisco. And so I
Mm.
thought like, oh, I just kind of assumed that there would be Japantowns like everywhere or like all over the US, but there's not. I'm like, really, that's it? Especially because I feel like the one in LA is tiny, and like the one in San Francisco, I think they already sold the mall to like just some random real estate developers. Like I don't think it's even owned by Japanese people anymore. So it's really,
Right. I
it's been
wouldn't
really
say that,
unfortunate.
I mean, after World War II and the relocation camps, they really tore apart the Japanese communities. And part
Absolutely.
of the thing about them leaving after World War II was that they have to separate from their communities, which was quite tragic. It was like, you can leave the camp early if you move to the Midwest, like
Right.
don't go back to LA. So a
Yeah.
lot of communities were dispersed and broken apart because of that. It's pretty sad.
Yeah. And then here it was kind of sad that we had the rise of like our jazz district was kind of like
Mm,
built on the destruction of Japantown. And definitely like I remember growing up going to the Tanforan Mall and like then like learning the history of it, that like, oh, it used to be a racetrack and this is where the Japanese people were interned. And like I have like friends, like one of my sisters is married to an Okinawan
mm,
man. And then, of course, I have tons of Japanese friends that I grew up with that are all San Francisco local. So they have family that were like interned in Tanfran. And then, like, they were relocated to camps in like Gila, Arizona. And then, like,
right.
they came back and they like tried to get their businesses back and stuff. It's just like, yeah, they really fought so hard to have Japan. And then, of course, Chinatown also, we're hit really hard too. And like, I just think it's funny, like all your warrior people on Instagram like tag everything San Francisco Chinatown, and I get confused like just for a second because I'm like they're in, and I'm like oh no, they're in like fantasy like
That's where the show
like
takes place,
post
right?
Gold
So they
Rush
tag it.
San Francisco Chinatown, and I'm kind of like having some regrets because with the first season I was like oh we should contact like CAM, like the Center for Asian American Media, and we should contact like the Chinese, like the neighborhood association and stuff, and like do some kind of like I wanted to do like outdoor screening in Portsmouth Square because I thought that would be really cool. But like it's just when you're in film, you always have like all these ideas. Oh, we should do this, we should do that, and it's just like hard to like follow up on every single idea that you have. And I also thought it was like so well funded and so well made that I just didn't think it would get canceled after 2 seasons. Like I just didn't, I just kind of like took it for granted, which you can never do with anything Asian in media. You always have to, like, people like say like little nitpicky critiques about it. And I'm just like, yeah, but I mean, it's great to critique something, but I just feel like you have to support it because it's just so rare to have Asian leads, Asian storyline, Asian producer, writers, directors, like,
That's
so
true. That's true.
how did you
It's
get involved
rare.
with Warrior?
What's that?
How did you get involved with it?
I got an audition. When I first saw the notice of the product of it going into production on Deadline, this was 2017, and I saw that it was produced by Justin Lin and Shannon Lee, and it was based on writings by Bruce Lee. I went, oh my God, I have to be in this. I mean, the reason why I am an actor is because of Bruce Lee. So, and this would be the best thing that I could do, you know? across the board because it's Asian American. I'm Asian American. It's our story. Bruce Lee is an American, you know? So I emailed my manager and said, when they start auditioning for this, please ask that I be seen in any role, whatever they have, I want to audition for it. And so a year later, like 2018 or near the beginning of 18, I got an audition for it. And I went, holy shit, they actually want to see me, because as you know, auditions, like you get invited for an audition and then like, it's not like a cattle call. You just don't show up and audition. You have to be invited. So I was a little nervous about that. So I read the character, Father Jun. The breakdown described him as 60s to 70s of age with a shock of white hair. And I went,
that sounds
okay,
older than
me.
Right.
I'm already too young and I don't have any hair.
Yeah.
So, but I went, okay, let's see what the words say. So I read it and I went, okay, I know what these words are. I know where he's coming from. This is an activist. Father Jun is a revolutionary activist from, the 1870s who fought for his country, who fought in the Opium Wars of China, came to America, saw the atrocities, the racism perpetuated upon his people. And I went, I know who that person is, And so I went in and I got the part. Yeah, and it was a dream. It would really, literally is a dream working on the production. It was just amazing. I was on the set of in South Africa, and I was walking through the Chinatown, and it was just the most beautiful set I've ever seen of a Chinatown in not just a Hollywood film, but internationally. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a more beautiful Chinatown set. That's not real. That's not like on location. So yeah, right down. I mean, I got to hand it to the Cape Town Film Studios. They're really an amazing, group of talented filmmakers. The production crew that helped us shoot Warrior.
So how big is that set?
The actual Chinatown is.
I mean, some of it is computer, right? Like the deep background is like computer generated, right?
A lot of it isn't. No, I mean, only when you see the sky, only when you see the ocean and like more than like 4 blocks, then it's generated. Like the boat and that.
But it's like a whole soundstage neighborhood side?
It's called the back lot. It's a neighborhood.
Wow.
So that's why I was blown away. You can walk into a neighborhood of Chinatown. Literally, it was just breathtaking. It was, first of all, when I first walked in, it was about 4 city blocks. About 4 small blocks of Chinatown,
huge.
Which is huge.
Oh my
alleys.
God.
Yeah, with alleys, and then they expanded it to a whole other street. So like 2 other blocks were added, like a whole other big street. And I was like, for season 2.
That's Fast and the Furious money. Dang.
Okay, so this is a story. Justin Lin, who's the director of Fast and Furious,
right,
was on the lot walking through Chinatown and went, this is bigger than any Fast and Furious set. So there was more money in it. Well, it wasn't more money. It was more production value.
Right.
Because of the cost of labor and stuff like that in South Africa compared to the American dollar. So we got more money and labor for or we got more product for
value for the dollar.
Right.
Yeah. That's incredible.
And they're beautiful, beautiful, talented people in South Africa.
Oh, that's awesome. So how long was it like each filming? Did you film both seasons together, or was it 2 separate filmings?
Did 2 separate years. We shot season 1 in the beginning of 2018.
And how long were you in South Africa for that one?
I was there for 4 months, and the leads were there for about 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So like Andrew Koji and Kieran Boo and Jason Tobin, Olivia Chang, the leads that were up weight number 1 to 7. They were there for 6 months almost.
That's such a huge commitment. Oh my goodness.
It's huge. It's your life. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially South Africa is literally by the South Pole, like penguins hang out by there.
We went to hang out with the penguins. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There's a town called
Oh,
Simonstown outside full of penguins. And it
that's
was beautiful.
incredible. What an experience.